Welcome to SEN League's YouTube channel. I'm here with Dominic, Criniti, Thomas Costigan and myself, Charles Goodsir. And as we count down to the start of the 2024 Rugby League season, we thought we'd have a look at the state of all 17 NRL coaches. We're going to go through the list of all of them. We've got them in front of us, and we're going to see whether they're fully safe, probably safe, if things go poorly, needs a big 2024, or they're on the hot seat. Gentlemen, how are we doing?
Going very well. Excited for the start of the footy season. Cannot wait.
Yeah, sorry to interrupt you there, Tommy. I'm just so excited for NRL to start 2024. Let's get straight into it.
Yeah. Without further ado, let's start. This one's a big one, I think, to start off with. Brad Arthur of the Parramatta Eels. Tom, let's start with you, man. I know you've got some strong opinions on this.
Yeah, on the hot seat for Brad Arthur. So he's been with the club since, 2014. He's contracted until the end of 2025, coming off a disappointing season in 2023 after they made the grand final the year prior in 2022. I just feel like the story with the Parramatta Eels the last few years is they can turn up on their day and beat Penrith. They've got a good record against them, who've been the benchmark, but then they can lose 3 straight against the Tigers, Dragons, Titans, the bottom rung teams. And I just feel like the Parramatta Eels, and maybe the board feel the same way, that they've kind of reached their peak with Brad Arthur. And unless they make the top 8, even the top 4, and have a serious push in the finals, even though he's contracted until the end of 2025, I think he'll get the sack. And so I think he's on the hot seat for me straight away.
Yeah, completely agree. I think we obviously are doing this list in alphabetical order to start, but it's just a coincidence that Brad Arthur is number 1. He is, I think, the most under-pressure coach in the NRL. Obviously, Parramatta have been a bit unlucky in terms of their salary cap management. Obviously had to commit a lot to Dylan Brown and Mitchell Moses. So they had to let, the Reed Marnies, Murata Niokores go, Isaiah Papali'i, but there's just been no real improvement from Parramatta. There's no real light at the end of the tunnel. They haven't really made any key signings to improve on last year. So if they miss finals this year, I think Brad Arthur's tenure as Parramatta Eels coach is over.
Yep.
Yeah, look, I'm going to go needs a big 2024, but I completely agree with everything you guys say. I think he is a good coach. I think he does a lot with very little. I think one thing the Eels lack is a bit of spark. I know there was all that conjecture about it, whether Clint Gutherson's an X-Factor player, looking for an X-Factor, fullback or whatever. I think he doesn't have the best tools around him. They overachieved that 2022 season to make that grand final. That was their window. They missed out. Last year, I think, was pretty much where we all had them sitting. I think around that 10th, 11th spot. So I'm going to say it needs a big 2024, but I think outvoted 2-1. So, I think Brad Arthur goes on the hot seat. Up next, Craig Bellamy entering his final season as the Melbourne Storm coach. I mean, I feel like that's been the case for the last 4 or 5 seasons now. Dom, you want to start with this one?
Yeah, Craig Bellamy, obviously, there's no pressure under Craig Bellamy. The only question under Craig Bellamy is if he's going to keep coaching into 2025 or not, which I don't think he will personally. But yeah, I think Craig Bellamy's probably on the complete opposite end of Brad Arthur. There is absolutely no pressure on him whatsoever. I think the Storm could finish 15th and Craig Bellamy's still got a job.
Yeah, look, I think it's fully safe. I think even if they go without a single win this season, I think he's got enough credits in the bank, and it probably will beat his last season. I think I trust him at face value, so I'm going to say Craig Bellamy is fully safe.
Fully safe. Again, I agree with both of you. Think it's going to be his last year, and they've just signed Jason Ryles as an assistant, so I think it's going to be either him or another person in that Storm coaching setup that will replace him in 2025.
Next, we move on to Wayne Bennett, head coach of the Dolphins. Now, this is an interesting one because we all sort of know that there's a succession plan in place with Christian Wolf. He's not going to be the main man. I think if things go poorly, if they don't have a good start,
stop it.
I can see Wayne Bennett stepping aside and starting to usher him in. Not to say that the club would ever move him on, because I don't think any club, especially the Dolphins, being just their second season, would push Wayne Bennett out the door. I think Wayne Bennett is the type of guy who would probably say, you know what, it's probably time to usher in Christian Wolf maybe a little bit earlier than they might have anticipated, but I'm going to put him if things go poorly with a big asterisk.
See, I think he's fully safe because we know he's retiring at the end of this year. We know Christian Wolf is going to take over on a 3-year deal from 2025. And as other coaches in the past have done under Wayne Bennett, Christian Wolf has already kind of stepped up. He leads a lot of the training sessions. He's filled in for Wayne multiple times during games. They've just signed Jake Averillo, Tom Flegler, and Herbie Farnworth. So in my opinion, they're going to be better. They're going to be contesting for the top 8. even if they don't make it, he's completely fully safe because if you're the Dolphins, also Wayne Bennett says, all right, once I finish coaching, I'll stay in a football advisory role, take care of the juniors. If you're the Dolphins, you want to kind of cherish every single moment of Wayne Bennett being your head coach. You want to build the narrative. You want to get all that media attention. And imagine you don't want Wayne Bennett's last game to be, and then he got sacked or got pushed the next week. You want to be there in round 27 or in week 2 of the finals and be like, right, Wayne Bennett's final home game at the Dolphins for the Suncorp Stadium, Wayne Bennett's final home game. So in my opinion, Bennett's fully safe.
Can I ask you this, though? Can you see a scenario in which he sort of abdicates a little bit and then ushers in Christian Wolf?
Could see
that happen?
A very, very minimal chance. Less than 3%.
Less than 3%. I like it. You crunched the numbers. Dom, thoughts?
Sorry, boys. I'm just getting a phone call from Tim Sheens, who's just asking for that scenario that Tommy just played out there. This is the West Tigers 2.0, right? But I don't think they're in a position to sack Wayne Bennett. They've been a club for just under 18 months now. You've got the greatest NRL coach of all time, in my opinion, there. Even if he does step aside, it would be very late in the season, and he'd probably have some Bali holiday booked or some Wayne Bennett would.
But it's why he's fully safe because we know it's his last year.
Yeah, he's fully safe.
And so why would they do it anyway when he's going to stay with the club anyway in an advisory role after?
Yeah, I agree with what you're both saying with fully safe. We'll go with fully safe. I just think I can see a scenario in which they go poorly. They have signed a lot of good talent as well. I think they are a good enough team to make the 8. If it doesn't go according to plan, I can see him moving aside a little bit earlier.
Fair enough.
We now move on to Cameron Ciraldo. This one really interests me. His second year, it was a year that was started out really positively in 2023. I think they beat the Storm very early on for the first time in, I think maybe it was like 2014 or something. It'd been a while. It then tapered off really poorly at the back end of last year. A lot of off-season drama as well. Tom, where do you think Cameron Ciraldo sits on our list?
I think he's right in the middle if things go poorly for me with Ciraldo. So he was kind of touted as the next big thing coaching-wise, was there at Penrith for a while. He's there contracted until the end of 2026. We know how much Gus Gould likes him. But if you remember last year, they had the worst defence in the NRL by a long, long shot. They were averaging 30 points per game. I think there were 10 games where they conceded 40 or more points, which is just ridiculous. So they've signed a lot of players as well in the off-season, headlined by Stephen Crichton. A lot of utility players, a lot of forwards there. So another new system essentially. And I feel like if they're in the bottom 3 to 4, and they play with the same lack of intent and lack of attitude, especially in defence that they had in 2023, I think we know Gus is not afraid to make big changes. So if they come out with the same lack of intent and their defence is poor again, I think he could go. So for me, he's right in the middle if things go poorly.
I got to disagree there. I think he needs a big 2024.
Okay.
I think because we've just seen the track record of Gus Gould. He's ruthless. And as good as... I agree with what you said. He loves Cameron Ciraldo, who was this next big thing. But if we get to Game 1 Origin, the Bulldogs have properly won 3 games, do you not think he'll be the most under pressure besides Brad Arthur? Like, the Bulldogs are such a proud club. Gus Gould,
it all depends as well how you lose those games.
Yeah,
like if they're losing,
right?
Tight games against Penrith or Broncos and stuff, and they're in those games, and no, but it all matters. Context matters. But I'm happy to go with needs a big 2024. What about you, Charles?
Yeah, I'm also needs a big 2024. I think the Bulldogs have been the most aggressive club in terms of recruitment over the off season. Yeah. Not necessarily match winners or genuine game breakers outside of maybe Stephen Crichton. They've got a lot of utility players. So you've got Blake Taff in there, Kurt Mann as well. You've got a lot of players who can fill in the holes. I think that's what they were missing last year with loads of injuries was that depth. And I think that's where the defence sort of tapered away. I think the reason why I've got the needs a big 2024 is because Ciraldo was the hottest coach on the market, rookie coach as well. He was touted as, the next big thing, especially with his defence as well, and it was just nowhere to be seen last year. So, and with Gus Gould breathing down his neck, I think that you need a big 2024. You need to at least show Bulldogs fans something who have been waiting very patiently, and they thought last year was going to be the year. Wasn't to happen. So yeah, let's see where it takes it from here.
Yeah, shout out to Gus Gould. Yes. Send me a text back.
Yeah, this one won't take too much time. I think we can just have a quick one-word answer. Ivan Cleary.
Fully safe.
Is this? Are we actually debating this or?
Yeah,
Fully safe.
Yeah.
I think
Here's a question. Throw an interesting one. What would Ivan Cleary have to do this year to get sacked?
Well, I was going to say he would have to retire.
Yeah, I genuinely think that he could lose every game by 60 points, and they couldn't score a single point in those games, and he would still be safe at the end of the year. The only way he's not in the job in 2025 is if he steps down.
Yeah, if he doesn't want to be there.
If he doesn't want to be there anymore, he's earned, and he could coach for the next 10 years, not win a single game, and I still don't think they'd sack him. This one is a little bit more interesting, however. And Tom, I'm going to start with you being the Sydney Roosters fan.
Ooh.
Jason Demetriou of the South Sydney Rabbitohs. Yeah. Where do you see him in 2024?
So if you asked me this before he got re-signed, I would have said on the hot seat. But which I don't get at all. Straight the week after the grand final, they re-signed him until the end of 2026. So there was obviously putting some faith in there. They got rid of Sam Burgess, who we know Demetriou and Burgess didn't get along about some of the coaching methods, especially with the likes of Latrell Mitchell and Cody Walker by all reports. So, maybe they were the most disappointing team in 2023 because they had so much expectation. They were leading the comp after 11 rounds. So, would it be fair enough to say needs a big 2024, or if things go poorly?
I would agree with you. I think if until they'd re-sign him, I would have said in the hot seat, I'm going to say needs a big 2024. If this is a team that should be competing for premierships.
Uh-huh.
They were the best team after 11 weeks last year by a long margin, and then just collapsed. I think they only won 3 games after that period as well, and they just looked very uncompetitive. It looked like the lunatics are running the insane asylum down there with all the rumours about players, running drills and the coach not really having any power. So I'm also going to go with needs a big 2024. Dom, what say you?
Yeah, I really like Jason Demetriou. I think as a person and as a player managing coach, I think I would love to play under him personally. Does he have that killer mentality? Now I know that's something you say for a player, but for a coach, does he have the ability? If I don't mean to call him out here, but Latrell Mitchell, Cody Walker acting out, does he have the pull to say, listen, pull your socks up and let's actually go and win a premiership?
Mm-hmm.
I doubt that at the moment. So for that reason, I'm definitely saying needs a big 2024. So are we happy to agree with that?
Yeah, happy to agree with that. Another interesting one here from the Cronulla Sharks, Craig Fitzgibbon. Ooh. Now, they're coming off back-to-back finals campaigns, but they have not yet won a final. They had those 2 losses in 2022, lost that elimination final against Sydney Roosters. I'm going to say Craig Fitzgibbon needs a big 2024. For whatever reason, they just can't seem to beat any top 4 teams or any genuine contenders. They win the games they should, but if they really want to be considered a genuine premiership threat, they need to start winning those really big games. I think there's big question marks on Nico Hines, whether Craig Fitzgibbon can get the most out of him as well. I just think it's similar to the Eels a little bit. I think they have a little bit more star power, but they lack sort of that big name outside of Nico Hines. And whether or not Craig Fitzgibbon can get the most out of that roster remains to be seen. So I'm going to say needs a big 2024.
So I still think he's probably safe just because, again, the contract situation. So he's there until the end of 2026. They absolutely love him there at Cronulla. Dino Mezzatessa, the CEO, speaks glowingly about him. The whole community get around him. I do agree with you what you said, Chuck. So they came 2nd in 2022, came 6th in 2023. So they've played 3 finals games under Fitzy. They've lost all 3. They're definitely a better regular season team than they have shown in the finals. So that's where they need to work on, and they need to improve their top 4 record. However, given the contract situation until the end of 2026, and given how much the organisation and the community and the players love him, I'd still go with probably safe.
Craig can't win a final, Fitzgibbon. Look, as a Dragons fan, I was smiling when you went through their last couple finals campaigns because, quite frankly, I can't stand the Cronulla Sharks. But bias aside, I think Fitzy's safe unless they do something really catastrophic, finish 10th, 11th, or have a complete and utter tumble mid-season, or at the back end of the season like the Rabbitohs did last year. I think Adam Fanua-Blake coming in 2025 and Fitzy being a pretty big part of that
would
a
very good
keep
point,
him safe because you don't want to upset your star player. And as you said, outside of Nico Hines, I don't really have that star player. Fanua-Blake is that. Fitzy is a big part of him coming. I don't think you want to mess with that. So I'm assuming the Sharks will be in that 6-4 range on the ladder anyway. So yeah, I think he's probably safe.
Okay. Yeah, that's fine. Going probably safe. Now here's an interesting one, and it's the Dragons. So I'm going to get your take on it first, Dom, being our resident Dragons fan. Shane Flanagan.
Shane
Where does he
Flanagan.
sit?
Look, as a coach, I actually think Shane Flanagan's a good coach. Shane Flanagan, if you're listening to this, can you go 24 hours without calling David Riccio, Michael Carianis, Brent Reid, someone from the Telegraph? Stop leaking stories and stop doing interviews with the Telegraph. Go quiet. We're the worst team in the NRL. We're going to get the spoon this year. How about you get the media attention away from us? Focus on the other teams. No one's focusing on the Tigers and the Bulldogs despite everything that's happening. Everything's, the Dragons this, the Dragons that. Shane Flanagan, stop talking. Okay, that's my Shane Flanagan rant done. In terms of his actual tier, it'd have to go really bad for him, to be honest. So he's in that middle tier there for me, honestly. His first year coach technically with the Dragons, not a first year coach at all, but he's been at the club before. They all seem to love him there. I think he's got this season off. Ben Hunt will probably leave, and yeah, big season ahead for Shane Flanagan and the Dragons.
So you're going fully safe?
No. I think if things go poorly, like if we don't win a game by game 2 of Origin, he's gone.
Oh, see, I think he's fully safe because what you just said there, you're a Dragons fan and everyone expects him to win the wooden spoon. They're the favourite to win the wooden spoon. So if they win the wooden spoon, it's okay because that's what was expected of them.
What if they win the wooden spoon with 0 wins?
Well, that's not going to happen.
Well, it's the Dragons.
If they improve on that, then it's a success for Flano. And Flano has a good track record as a head coach. Do I like this squad? Absolutely not. I think it's terrible apart from Ben Hunt, Zach Lomax and some other players there. But however, again, and the next 2 coaches we're going to do after this are both first-time coaches with their respective clubs. I think they're all fully safe because they're first-year coaches. So, again, for me, Shane Flanagan is fully safe.
I'm also going Shane Flanagan fully safe. I think, it's his first year with a terrible, terrible roster. They haven't signed anyone good. They've missed out on a lot of players. I know that Joe Manu was never really on the table, but look, they threw it out there. They dangled the carrot, got absolutely nothing from it. And with your star player, having to say to the media that, no, I'm not being held hostage. No, I actually kind of like it
Blink
here.
twice, Ben Hunt.
Yeah,
Blink twice. That's all I want to say.
Exactly right. But it's his first year, so I'm also going to go fully safe. And I think we can also rattle off quickly here. Des Hasler and the Gold Coast Titans, his first year with an exciting roster. I'm going to go fully safe. It's Des.
Fully safe. They're a dark horse for me to make the top 8. Even if they don't make the top 8, he's safe. So fully safe for Des.
Yep. Not much more to add there. Des is a good coach. Hope he does well.
Yeah, fully safe. Now, also, another case that we can probably just go around pretty quickly. Benji Marshall with the West Tigers. A big off-season of change for the West Tigers. They're always in the headlines. But I think especially Tigers fans will agree with us that they're finally starting to see a glimmer of hope from a really poor decade or so. I'm going to go fully safe. A club legend. He's got a lot of time to turn things around. Jerome Luai coming 2025 is also big. He was instrumental in getting him across the line. So fully safe for mine.
Fully safe.
Yeah, fully safe. Like you said, Jerome Luai's not there without him. I think if he goes, we could see a bit of an Isaiah Papali'i from 2022 when he really didn't want to go to the Tigers and was he had his magnifying glass out in the contract looking for any backflip clause there. So, 100% fully safe. Benji Marshall, good on you, mate.
Now, this one intrigues me. I'm going to let you guys start first in this one, but Adam O'Brien from the Newcastle Knights. Tom, where do you think he sits?
Adam O'Brien is the current, along with Craig Bellamy, they're the only coaches who are not contracted beyond 2024. So I think the Newcastle Knights surprised a lot of people last season off the back of Callum Ponga moving back to fullback, winning the Dally M Medal of the Year. But before that, 2022, they had a really poor year, made the finals in 2020, and I believe in 2021, if I'm not mistaken, they may have missed it there. But I still think, just because he's the final year on his deal, not contracted past there, I think he needs a big 2024. If they don't make the finals, based on the expectations of last year, based off Callum Ponga winning the Dally M Medal, the low-hanging fruit, the easy thing to do is get rid of the coach. And so that's why I think he needs a big 2024.
Yeah, there was a lot of reports coming out of Newcastle last year before Callum Ponga went on his run that O'Brien was done, writing was on the wall. So could see the same thing happening here. But I think given what happened last year and kind of just the whole of Newcastle getting back around the Knights, and you had that really good vibe about the Knights. It was everyone's second favourite team all of a sudden. So I think things would have to go poorly for Adam O'Brien, and I'd expect a Callum Ponga good start to the season, Origin, behind him again. Knights are doing well, maybe sitting in that 8 to 6 range, and O'Brien gets a 2-3 year extension.
Yeah, I'm our resident Knights fan here. I'm very pessimistic about this season. I think last season was just this golden run that just can't be replicated. I equate last year's season to Ghostbusters. It's lightning in a bottle. You know, you can try all you want to try and replicate it. It just won't work. I think Adam O'Brien is. I have him in the if things go poorly range because I agree. Like if we finals, we should make finals with the roster we have. Kalen Ponga is the best player in the competition without a doubt. SJ had a great run last year, but Kalen Ponga was the best.
Did you not
by
watch
a
the
country mile.
2023 Grand Final? Last 17 minutes, by any chance?
Oh, look, he was all right, Nathan Cleary, but I think in terms of Adam O'Brien, I think he needs to start well. We can't have a slow start like we did last year and try to play catch up. I think finals is a must, and if things are going pear-shaped halfway through the season, it could turn ugly. So I'm going to put Adam O'Brien in the if things go poorly category.
That's fair.
So now Todd Payten from the North Queensland Cowboys. I think they were the surprise in 2022. They've sort of, went back to the pack in 2023, missed finals. Where do we see Todd Payten, Dom?
I really like Todd Payten's chances this year. I think a bit of a change in the captaincy and, ushering out the older guard with the Jason Taumalolos and Chad Townsend. They've got this really vibrant, youthful squad. They've re-signed Tom Dearden. I think they're going to do well. But right now, the Cowboys, Todd Payten, I think he's not in the needs of big 2024, although they do need it. He's not in that category. He's in the category with Adam O'Brien there if things go poorly. Yeah. But I think he's going by the end of the season, I think we'll see Todd Payten go into the fully safe category. I think he's one of the best and most underrated coaches in the NRL.
Yeah, so gets there in 2021, kind of revamps the squad, revamps what they're doing, don't make the finals. 2022 focuses all on defence. They make the prelims, go down in heartbreaking fashion to the Eels. And then 2023 started really poorly, then mid-season had like a resurgence and, beating the Rabbitohs, beating the Storm. They beat an understrength Panthers without their origin players in Golden Point. So they're back. And then they just completely let their foot off the pedal towards the back end of the season, miss the final. So I'm with Dom. I think if things go really poorly for them again, Todd Payten could be on the out, and some of their senior players as well could also be on the out. So I'm going to go if things go poorly for Todd Payten.
Well, I'm going to be outranked 2-1 anyway, but the things go poorly. I'm going to have him in the probably safe category. I think the Cowboys make the top 4 again this year. I think progress is not always linear. I think last 2022 is their breakout year, and that came back to bite them with a lot of their stars playing in that World Cup as well, a lot of them playing in Origin camps for the first time. I think that 2023 year is kind of a kick in the arse about what it takes to stay up. So I think they'll be back. New co-captains as well. I think that always helps the energy. So I think he's probably safe, but I've been outranked. So if things go poorly, and I don't entirely disagree with what you guys said.
Thank you.
And we'll start with you on this one, Tommy. Trent Robinson from the Sydney Roosters.
Yes. This is really interesting, my man Robbo. So he's signed there until the end of 2028. So that was confirmed before a ball was kicked in 2023. We all know how 2023 ended. The Roosters were pretty bad for 85% of the regular season, then finished 7th, made week 2 of the finals, and were 1 minute away from making the prelims, but lost to the Storm in heartbreaking fashion. However, they still haven't made it past week 2 of the finals since they went back-to-back in 2018, 2019. Haven't made it to the prelim finals. They've just signed Spencer Leniu and Dom Young for 2024. They're once again premiership heavyweights. It's going to be the final year for Daniel Tupou and Jared Warrior-Hargreaves. I think a lot of pressure, as well as Robbo, is on the players, especially the leadership players like Cleary, James Tedesco, Jared Warrior-Hargreaves. A lot of pressure lays with those guys. I'm going to go with... and I know the Roosters are cutthroat, so I'll put him in the if things go poorly category, because we know Nick Politis is not a stranger to making tough decisions, a la Mitchell Pearce and Cooper Cronk back in 2017, 2018. So if they don't make it past week 2 again, or if they start really poorly and then can't figure it out and fail to make the finals, which would only be the second time under Robbo's reign, I think he could get paid out and could see you later. So I think if things go poorly for Robbo and the Roosters.
Yeah, and you mentioned that poor start, and I know that you're not a fan of the Roosters going to Vegas either. If they lose in Vegas,
yep.
Do you think he's just sort of on the back foot from then?
He's on the back foot. Yeah, I just don't like it because we need to focus on the start. I think by the midway mark of the season, so when they've hit their 12-game mark, they need to be, in my opinion, at least 8-4. They've got to have 8 wins and 4 losses. They can't be below that. Otherwise, they're just going to be chasing wins like they did the back end of the season. And when they chase wins towards the back end of the regular season, they're playing finals intensity every week. And that's why they burn out when they get to week 2 or week 1 of the finals, because they've just been playing that high intensity from round 20 to round 27, and it catches up with them, in my opinion. So if things go poorly for the Roosters and Trent Robinson.
Yeah, I'm just going to say he's probably safe, just because I think he's a good coach. He's got enough credits in the bank, and I think last year was a poor year. I think they will acknowledge that. They've boosted up some of their stocks as well. It's the last dance sort of their aging stars as well. I think they will be there and thereabouts. I think they'll clean up their mistakes, so I'm going to say probably safe.
Yeah, I'm going probably safe as well. Yeah, I understand what you're saying there with the Cooper Cronk, Mitchell Pearce stuff, but Mitchell Pearce went because Cooper Cronk was available.
Yeah, that's
who currently could you see becoming available that Roosters fans could get up for? Yeah, he's our coach. I'm excited, right? No one at the moment.
It's the pessimistic in me.
So, you've produced Craig Fitzgibbon, Adam O'Brien, Jason Riles from the assistant ranks in the last couple of years. I just don't see anyone of the like coming through like that, and unless you bring, I don't know.
Well, do you know
Sam Burgess?
They've brought back Justin Holbrook as an assistant coach, so that would be major. So, I think we all agree. So probably safe then.
Probably safe. Now, this one really intrigues me, and I'm very fascinated to hear your thoughts on this. Anthony Seibold of the Manly Warringah Seagulls. I'm going to say if things go poorly. I think Seibold, he's very good. He's got a very good analytical brain of the game. I think he's a very smart coach. I don't know if that always translates to on-field. And I think especially with the Seagulls, their fate rests a lot on their stars. I think more so than other teams. If Turbo's fit and DC are fit and firing, they're great. If not, then where do you go? And with the signing of Luke Brooks, who I think we all expect to be better, I think he'd need to get out of that West Tigers system. He's now at a new club. But if things go poorly there, I'm not sure what happens. And he's a much maligned coach, Anthony Seibold. So I'm going to go if things go poorly.
So my mind went straight to on the hot seat. But you made a good point there, Charles, is where a lot of it rests on the players, in particular, Tommy Turbo. So if Tommy Turbo gets injured again in round 8, essentially their season is over. So then Siebes is given a break. He's like, oh, well, your best player got injured. What could you have done? However, they've signed a lot of players in the off season, like Jackson Paulo, Luke Brooks, host of other players coming. Tommy Talau from the West Tigers, too. They've just re-signed, and this was Siebes' decision as well, along with the board, to re-sign Josh Schuster on a big 3-year, $2.4 million deal. So if Schuster doesn't perform well, of course it rests on Schuster, but that also will reflect poorly on Siebes and the management there who made that deal. They've also let some young guys go in the Whānau brothers to the West Tigers. And if you look at Siebes, you just have to look at, and this is just facts, you look at Siebes' record in the NRL, 1 season with the Rabbitohs, 1.5 seasons with the Broncos. He's now going to get into his 2nd year with the Seagulls. So he doesn't tend to stay long at a club if he's not successful there. I know he left on his own accord from the Rabbitohs, but in my opinion, he needs a big 2024.
You've sort of swayed me. I reckon on the hot seat. You're right. They've made a massive gamble, and they've sort of put all their chips on a guy who you shouldn't put your house on.
I think Brooks is a massive gamble. I think Schuster's a massive gamble. They're also moving Ruben Garrick into the centres. A lot of those decisions are coming from Siebes. So, again, my first thought on the hot seat. Dom, what do you think?
Look, I think things would have to go wrong. Last year, I think everyone in the Manly board would agree it was an absolute write-off, but we've seen plenty of positive signs from Manly. I mean, towards the back end of the season, their attack was kind of flourishing.
DCE was amazing.
Yeah, career best.
Aging like fine wine, really.
Yeah, so I'd be happy to meet you in the middle and go, needs a big 2024. Okay. If Tommy gets injured, all right, there's the excuse there. But then if they start performing poorly and Siebes can't really use that as an excuse anymore, I could definitely see him going. So, yeah, I'm happy to put him there. Needs a big 2024.
Yeah, I think that middle's out. Needs a big 2024. Now, Ricky Stewart, and I want to start with this one, and I'm very fascinated to hear your thoughts. I think he's fully safe. I think no one understands the Canberra Raiders, and you'd be a very brave person to tell Ricky Stewart, who basically is the Canberra Raiders, that you are no longer going to be the coach of that club. I think he's the heart and soul of that club. Don't point a camera at his face, otherwise, you'll get in trouble. I'm going to say he's fully safe.
Can I make this prediction? I can fully see Ricky Stewart, round 21, round 22, if they're going poor and they're in the bottom 4, Ricky Stewart says, hey, Don Furner, the CEO, who he's good mates with, I'm done.
Yeah.
I'm not feeling it. Jack Wyden's gone. Josh Papali'i's probably got maybe 1 year left. They just got KO Weeks is going to be their 6. I think Xavier Savage or another young bloke's going to be their centres. In that fullback, they got Ethan Strange, who's going to be in his essentially first year playing the centre. So it's going to be a young squad. They've got an Asian pack, as I said, in Papali'i and Elliot Whitehead. So I can really see, again, it's kind of like, I'm not trying to liken him to Cleary, but like the only way I can see Ricky going is if Ricky wants to go. I'd still have him in probably safe.
Yeah, I'm fine with putting him probably safe. Dom?
Damien Hardwick, Jurgen Klopp,
Yep.
Xavi.
Yes.
What did they all say when they left their post? I'm tired. This is too mentally burning. Ricky Stewart, I can see it. It's written in the clouds. He's going to pull a press conference randomly. Maybe SEN's Charles Goodsir or Dom Criniti gets the scoop, and Ricky Stewart departs his post mid-season. It's the biggest story in the NRL, but I agree. I think he's fully safe. So,
let's go fully safe.
I can't see him getting safe. There's no way.
Safe.
Fully safe, but I can very easily see the headline of him announcing that he's stepping down. As
he burns himself out, Ricky. He burns himself out.
You always have to watch. I mean, like every Monday morning after a game, I think every time I'm clipping up audio for either Breakfast with Vossi and Brandy, Mornings with Matt White, or whatever it is, there's always a grab from a Ricky Stewart presser.
Yeah.
So we're so thankful to have him, and I hope he sticks around because he's just gold. Kevvie Walters from the Broncos, fresh off a grand final appearance. I think this is another pretty quick one. I think he's fully safe, but interested to hear your thoughts.
I go probably safe.
Yep.
I go probably safe. So it's been there since 2021.
But you ride that season off, right? Because he came in
exactly.
Through, so.
You're coming grand final success last year. He has lost some players. Tom Flegler and Herbie Farnworth going to their Dolphins. The one thing that worries me is the fitness of Adam Reynolds. And so when he goes down, who's going to step up really there? So I would still say probably safe. They should be contesting again for the top 4 because of the strength of their outside backs and the strength of their young, damaging forward pack, which is just unreal. So yeah, probably safe for me for Kevvie.
Yeah, I think I wanted to say fully safe, but just because we've seen that one bad season from him.
Yeah.
I know there's a lot of external factors that he really couldn't control. Yeah, I'll go probably safe, just because if they do go on a Broncos slide that they've done
remember of 2022 they were in the top 4 and they slid out of the 8.
That's very true.
Because a lot of it came off the back of Pat Carrigan when he got suspended for that hip drop on Jackson Hastings. So we have seen it under Kevvie. So that's why I'd still go with probably safe.
Can I throw a conspiracy theory out at you, lads?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
So Kevvie Walters is having a terrible year. The Broncos board, they say, no, we can't do this anymore.
I know where this is going.
Bring back Wayne.
Wayne Bennett says,
Wayne Bennett, the resurrection.
I've had enough. Charles's theory comes to life. Wayne Bennett comes back to the Broncos. He leads them to a premiership. He retires.
No, I think Wayne. It would take a bigger turnout from the Broncos. I think there are some people on the board there who Wayne probably doesn't like anymore, allegedly. So, I'd say do we all agree probably safe for Kevvie?
Yeah, probably safe. And there are no good part 3s in anything. The final one, and I think this one is pretty self-explanatory as well. Andrew Wesbter from the Warriors. What an amazing run. I think fully safe. I don't think they'll go as well as they did last year.
Yeah.
I don't think they need to. I just think they need to make finals. Roger Tuivasa-Sheck coming back is a massive win. Last season with Adam Fanua-Blake, I think they are a premiership contender. But we'll have to just wait and see. Fully safe for mine.
So biggest thing for me is we've seen these flash-in-the-pan seasons from the Warriors. Look at 2011, 2012, missed the finals. 2018, come back. 2019, missed the finals.
Yeah.
And now they've got the expectation. So last year they were the Hunters. This year they're the Hunted. They've got big expectations because their golden boy, Roger Tuivasa-Sheck's coming back. He's going to slot in at centre. Looks like this may be Sean Johnson's last year, possibly second last year. It's going to be Adam Fanua-Blake's last year with the Warriors after signing with the Sharks in 2025. So, again, I'll go with probably safe. I don't think he's fully safe, probably safe, but big expectations for the Warriors. They should be competing for that top 4 spot once again. I think they'll finish somewhere between 4th and 8th.
I think he's fully safe. I think Andrew Webster is more than just a coach for the Warriors. I think he's a father figure to a lot of these players, despite like having no links to the country of New Zealand whatsoever, right? He means a lot to the community. He means a lot to the board. You know, a lot of people wouldn't have taken the Warriors job. It's a coaching job in the NRL, but you know, he left the Panthers for the Warriors and everything he's done for them. I just can't see him getting sacked. But it's a massive year for them to kind of transition. This is a year for Sean Johnson to teach the young and up and coming halves, you know, the players that have played first grade before to, you know, take over the team for next year, and same for Adam Fanua-Blake for 2025. So might be a different story then, but this year, fully safe, Andrew Webster.
Yeah, fully safe. And there we have it. They're all the coaches. Any final selections we want to make? I'm pretty happy with how that list sits.
Yeah, we'll just round it out. So we've got Craig Bellamy, Shane Flanagan, Wayne Bennett, Ivan Cleary, Des Hasler, Benji Marshall, Ricky Stewart, and Andrew Webster, fully safe. Craig Fitzgibbon, Trent Robinson, Billy Walters. He might be probably safe, but Kevvie's probably safe. If things go poorly, we've got Todd Payten and Adam O'Brien. Needs a big 2024, Cameron Ciraldo, Anthony Seibold, and Jason Demetriou. And the only coach out of everyone in the NRL on the hot seat, Brad Arthur. I think that's a fair list.
So that's the thing. That's the thing that stands out for me, is that we've only got one coach on the hot seat. And years past, I mean, I remember back in 2020, 5 coaches were sacked. So if it's anything like that, we're going to be wrong in this regard.
Look at that tier there that needs a big 2024.
Yeah,
You've got
exactly.
Ciraldo and Seibold and Demetriou, all relatively new, a bit of external circumstances, new players coming in. So you can't put them under the hot seat now.
I think what we're saying, those 4 coaches on those bottom tier lists are definitely in the firing line. I think Brad Arthur has got cartoon flames coming out the side of him, just like in The Simpsons or whatever. But I think those 3 coaches, especially in the needs of big 2024, they need to get going very quickly.
Well, Charles, I'll add it. I think that you had Todd Payten and Adam O'Brien. Like, I think all the coaches from if things go poorly down are essentially they're going to be under scrutiny all year.
Yep.
And I know it's tough on Adam O'Brien, but it's because he doesn't have a contract in place for 2025.
Yeah, so it's much easier.
If he doesn't perform, they can get rid of him. Yeah. Todd Payten, you know, he's had one season there where they've made the finals and they looked really good, and then last year they flamed out. So, and we know how unpredictable it is in rugby league and the NRL. So I think, again, all of those coaches from if things go poorly down, they're going to be under a whole lot of pressure come round 1.
Perfect. Well, I think that's our list, gentlemen. Thank you very much for joining me.
Thank you, Charles.
Subscribe to SEN League on YouTube.